some sort. Still, again, no movement from the driver. That is when this larger apparatus was brought in, and it has now ripped out the passenger side of this 18-wheeler at this very moment. But again, still no movement from the driver. Now, this piece of machinery has a lot of capabilities. It can pretty much rip out the entire portion of this truck.
We're about to have 10K between Facebook
the SWAT
and YouTube.
Team members are still trying to figure out. I do want to make note here, what we can't tell you from this vantage point in the chopper is what's being said. We do know members of the SWAT team obviously are there, but there are negotiators there as well. So what we can't provide you with is an understanding of that means of communication, if in fact there is communication happening directly between law enforcement and the driver of this semi. This is now, was it 3:49 in the afternoon? So we are approaching a 3-hour mark of the standoff.
Here it goes.
A lot of things happening.
Get ready again.
And the tactical machine's going in again to try and create a little more of a viewpoint. For them to get an assessment of what's happening inside. If you've ever been in one of these cabs, you know, you've got your sort of your driver and passenger section that you can see there in the front, and then they often have kind of like a sleeper cabin or another part of the
Facebook
cab
and YouTube.
where people can also be. And so that's, you know, sort of been the question from the get-go.
Oh my gosh.
Is all we know is there, you know, the driver they've described as a male, either white or Hispanic. That's the only descriptor we've gotten. And they don't know whether there's a possibility of anyone else being either in this cab or perhaps in the truck or anything like that. We just don't know. And so they're being extremely careful, you know, trying to get a better view. That's been the challenge out here since this the spike strips were laid out and they were able to stop this, is they just haven't been able to see very well what's going on inside this cab. When the 3 puffs of green smoke came out of the cab earlier, you know, that helped to turn what was the passenger side window green, and part of the window was broken, and so you couldn't see into it once that happened. And from our vantage point, and while Sky Fox is giving us an excellent view right over the scene, it's still with, you know, shadowing and darkness in the cab. It's been very hard to see, you know, inside to see exactly what's going on. Again, we just haven't seen any movement.
Well, you know what, though? We're going to see everything here in a second, because this piece of machine is going to rip this entire portion out. As I'm trying to look closely here, it looks like there was even a TV inside of the back of this cab. You see another aggressive move here by the member of law enforcement controlling this apparatus the SWAT team frequently uses whenever they're trying to make entry into any given point, whether it be a semi in this situation or even a house. We've seen them use this as well. So that's what's happening on the side, but also please pay attention of what's happening here at the top of the armored vehicle right here. So we're paying attention to that as well.
And if I'm correct, Anthony, this apparatus that is breaking into the truck now, they're operating that remotely.
Yes, they're.
Wow, look at that.
Oh, okay. I thought I saw. I believe someone might be in that.
My God, what if they get crushed?
So perhaps it's armored.
I believe it's armored for sure.
Okay.
And if you're familiar with these cabs, a lot of times in the back portion here you have beds. So this is what you see being ripped out here. A bed. I saw a television earlier as well.
Damn, bro.
So this guy doesn't have far to go.
They're gutting this thing. Everything's coming out.
There's not many places you can go inside of this cab. So we're going to see this thing come to an end here relatively soon. In terms of the semi itself, it is design transportation. If you realize, if that may not ring a bell, we made some phone calls because we wanted to know, like, who is the driver of this cab? Where did this truck come from? It's out of Dallas, Texas. We placed the call to the company. The company is saying no comment, but we obviously don't know if this person is contracted through the company or if they were employed full time.
Like that thing in the ground, it's like you just smashed it too. It's like.
So this is what we continue to witness here in real time with you. As Sky Fox is over the scene here on I-10 eastbound, as this was, according to police, a traffic hazard where a member of the constable's unit tried to initiate a traffic stop because they saw something that was potentially a traffic hazard, making things dangerous. And when they tried to initiate that traffic stop, that is when the driver of the semi, according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, led police on a chase. But he was deliberate by saying that it was at a low rate of speed. Nevertheless, officers were able to use spike strips. And if you look at the very front portion of the 18-wheeler, you can see down to the rim, bare. But we also continue to see some more information being given to us because of that press conference from Sheriff Ed Gonzalez. And I believe Heather Abigail is...
She's got some more information we're hearing about the suspect, Abigail.
Yes, Heather, so we can't really speak to his mental state, but as for his physical state, I was just talking to a sergeant here. I was wondering, you know, if he's still alive, and the sergeant says that he is indeed alive. At this point, nothing has gone out on the radios indicating that our suspect has died during this altercation because, you know, I mean, we did have those projectiles fired, and while they were non-lethal, you never know how something like that can end up. And just being in this state and revving the engine and sitting in that cab for so long, we don't know where this man's health is. So we went ahead and we spoke to the sergeant, and he told us that at this point that that suspect is still alive.
Well, actually, we do have a better view. Thank you. The Flossie told me someone in the chat was saying we got a better view from ABC. So we're going to switch it up because we can actually see the guy, I think, here.
It was smoking earlier.
I think there's a guy right there in the driver's side.
Have a situation like this, we always ask you, have you ever seen anything like this?
No, and all of my career,
he's alive.
I've never seen anything
Look,
like this.
he's just chilling.
I do wonder, however, is he conscious?
Is he conscious?
Is got some sort of a drug-induced sort of staring straight ahead?
Drug-induced stare.
Don't know, and I don't think that the sheriff is really up against the guardrail there, separating the east and westbound lanes over here at I-10, the Baytown East Freeway. And if you're just joining us, this is at Sheldon Road between the Beltway and Spur 330, the road that you take to go to Baytown on I-10. And for those people that are maybe heading back to Louisiana, it's not going to happen this way for quite some time. The other thing is, I don't know whether or not, once this does come to a conclusion, how they're going to get the 18-wheeler out of here, because it has, as you can see, the right front wheel does not have a tire on it. It's dug into the pavement.
Oh, they're pulling up on
the engine is still idling
on the other side
and spinning the wheel
they turned it off.
The tire. And so what you see smoking there is the wheel friction against the tire. And so
maybe they didn't want to show them. They didn't want to show that part. They were walking right up, and then they switched the camera. ABC 13 has a little bit of a delay, but there we can see it again. Bring the K9.
The K9 unit is here.
Coming up on the other side.
Moving in now. Let's see what
they're
happens.
Shooting.
I'm not sure. Are they shooting? Are they shooting inside
ABC
there?
13.
It looks as though that they may be using dummy bullets. There goes the dog. They pulled the dog. There. Now the dog is inside. This is coming to an end now, finally. Let's see if the dog... As soon as the dog does
get full screen. Let's get full screen.
With the driver, then you'll see there the officers are going in now.
Damn.
Again, we don't know whether the driver is conscious. They're going to try to go in from the driver's side. I'm going to pull back a little bit here because we don't know exactly what's going to happen. Is he hanging on? Can't tell, but it looks as though they're having difficulty getting him out of the cab. Once they get him out, we'll see if he is actually...
They switched it now.
Danios, as you to make sure that we don't show anything that might be too sensitive for folks at home. But again, we just saw the vehicle, the 18-wheeler here, to try to gain control of the suspect that has been...
This wild, bro.
Almost 4 hours here now as we almost start the 4 o'clock newscast. But it's just a very...
Nah, that's super wild, bro. What he thinking? I guess he wasn't thinking, bro. Like, what you doing?
We've been doing a great job of breaking everything down live as it's unfolding. We want to remind viewers that there is a delay. Obviously, as Myra and Nick have been emphasizing, we technically don't know how this is going to end, so we do have a delay just to make sure we aren't seeing anything drastic or dramatic or tragic. So this is a whole tactical operation that's been going on for hours. Y'all have been through most of it and walking our viewers through it, and we have no idea what's going on with the driver, right? It's the
Yeah, bro, they getting them up out of there for real though.
Drugs involved in terms of how stoic he was. We just simply don't know.
Yo, is that him?
Can tell you, and what we are seeing is the truck.
Ain't no way.
Really pulling him out? He doesn't want to come out?
Yeah, and it looks like
there's a few oh my God.
The SWAT deputies inside now. Can't tell what they're doing at this point, but we did see the canine go in, and I believe I saw the canine come back out just a few seconds ago. But they're
a spoiled brat.
Were you saying something? Were you able to see what they're doing?
I was going to say, it appears as though
they're pulling him out,
resisting,
and also just trying to get this person out. Don, were you saying something? Were you able to see what they're doing?
I was going to say, it appears as though
they're pulling him out.
Resisting.
Oh, goodness.
Still fighting?
On the ground,
yeah, he took a hard fall too.
Let me pull out just a little bit.
Boy, get out of here, man. All on my shit.
On the left side of your screen, really kind of we're very careful about approaching this cab, and again, so now we're seeing the medical team responding with a stretcher, so we expect to be able to see a little bit better view. There's a suspect, and
He's
walking. I'm stunned.
Face bloodied.
Yeah.
But walking. I am, and again, when the Sheriff Gonzalez made some statements in regards to his condition, they said he was driving erratically.
Yes,
you know,
and
you
that
can't
was,
have an 18-wheeler on the roads driving erratically, and that's what forced them to make initiate the spike strips. But,
and why they've had to deal with this so delicately.
Yes.
The sheriff said because of that erratic driving, they just never knew who they were dealing with or what situation they were dealing with, and so this man has endured. The green smoke, the firing of non-lethal shots into the cab, the tactical equipment ripping out, shaking that cab, back.
Bro, he made it through all of that. Like, he gotta be on something. Ain't no way you making it through all of that. You still alive?
Gonzalez at the bottom of your screen. I just saw him take a picture. I assume he's going to put out a tweet here in a second to let the public know that this has now come to an end. But by all means, hats off to members of law enforcement who not only saw this as a potential issue on I-10 eastbound earlier today, but also their ability to see this through here at 4 o'clock for this to come to an end where that driver was still able to walk out of that cab alive, because we have seen situations like these play out many different ways, and no member of law enforcement were hurt, and although this gentleman will receive medical care, this could have been a very different end to his day here in Harris County.
And while we continue to watch this very dramatic scene unfold, again for our viewers, traffic has been shut down now for more than 2 hours on I-10. Eastbound and westbound, and again, this is at
2 hours, bro.
The cross street,
Sheldon, I believe. Sheldon.
And this is in the Channelview area. So it's been completely shut down. People on the roads, perhaps returning from where they were over the holidays or getting back into their work routines.
Imagine that you trying to get back to your house, and you stuck on the road for 2 hours, bro. I'm sick, man, for real. Ain't no way.
Using the feeder roads right next to this with cars, what normally would be avoid the area if at all possible. And I imagine this is, even though we're seeing this result, it's still going to be a little while before they're able to wrap up this scene and complete their investigation.
Yeah, and to think this all started at around 12:51 here this afternoon, according to police. an officer on duty tried to initiate a traffic stop because they witnessed the driver of this 18-wheeler driving erratically on the road, and it became a traffic hazard. So they tried to initiate
yeah, he got Mike.
But that's when the driver of this 18-wheeler
he out of there, man.
The sheriff saying that it was at a slow rate of speed, but nevertheless, this is a 18-wheeler, a very large piece of machinery. So they threw down some spike strips. This chase coming to an end at I-10 eastbound near Sheldon, and that is when at around 2 o'clock, 2:30, we started to see officers take strategic positions as they tried to not only assess the scene, but figure out the best way for this to come to an end. After about an hour after that, around 2:30, 3 o'clock, we started to see members of the SWAT team arrive there, make their own assessments, take over the strategy, it seems, as far as I can tell. They kind of led the movement forward. And then that's where we are now. We now have the driver of this 18-wheeler inside of the semi here. Police say they aren't sure if he was simply impaired here today or if there was some criminal background that we are unaware of that encouraged him or made him think, at least, that it was a smart idea to try to get away from police in this 18-wheeler.
Yeah, or if there was a medical situation that may have led to all of this, we don't know. Again, we've called the name of the trucking company that's listed on the side of the truck, but they said no comment. And the sheriff's office said that they had reached out to them as well.
They said they ain't
trying to figure out, what has led up to all of this. But we want to, we're going to be showing you very shortly kind of a recap, if you're just joining us, of some of the video of the drama unfolding out here. But you can see right now, so there's a live picture of the, on the right side of your screen, that's a live picture of the ambulance that the driver is now in. But this was video from earlier. This was, see the green smoke coming out of the cab? We don't know whether that initiated from inside the cab. We're kind of believing that it was probably officers firing, a gas or a smoke to try and smoke the person out.
They hit
but
with
there
the
were
green
3
smoke.
of these plumes of green smoke, and then that's what turned that passenger side windshield green. You can see some of it was broken. There's another plume of that smoke. So this guy was alive in there through that. Which had to be a pretty intense situation. And so that was kind of, one of the early stages where once they were able to get the vehicle stopped there on the shoulder after the spike strip, there were 3 of those green plumes. And because of the spike strip, you can see just 2 of the tires there, but we're told there's a 3rd tire that are just complete.
Bro, he still got his foot on the gas. Bro, what's up with him, bro?
And the first tire under the cargo part of the truck will be on air on Fox 20. So there has been something, whether it was the driver or something, has been continued to have pressure on the gas pedal to continue to make that spin. And at first we thought, well, is the guy still trying to get out of there? We don't know. Or whether he was maybe incapacitated and something was putting pressure to continue that spinning, but it's been going on throughout.
Yeah, and this is the moment where we saw that chopper land on I-10 live. You're gonna see here in a second a member of the SWAT team hop out of this chopper here, and this was really when we started to see things escalate a bit here. You can see he is moving with a sense of urgency. He's going to hop over the median here on I-10 eastbound in a second. And then we started to see members of the SWAT team and the negotiator team start to lead some of how they were moving forward with this. Then we started to see the robot. You see the robot right there, not to mention the drone. You see we have labeled it clearly. So
man, they had the drone.
That was the first time we got an indicator.
The robot, the rook, they had everybody out there.
Understanding of what's happening in the front portion of this cab, whether the driver was in the passenger side or even in the driver's side. We had an understanding that with that drone, they got a better idea of what was taking place.
And that's when we started to hear from Abigail, from an officer, from a sergeant out there, that they believed he was still alive. And it had to have come from some of those images from the drone and the robot, indicating they still had a live driver inside this cab, despite having already, gone through the green smoke situation. And then, of course, this tactical equipment going in and just continue to punch holes in, sort of this back part of the cab. They threw in another smoke bomb there to try and smoke him out. but there just were no signs of movement of anyone inside. And as we were describing earlier, if you've ever been in a cab like this, the front portion is, you know, your driver passenger seat, and then when there's a back portion, it's often kind of like a camper or a sleeper. So there's, you know, maybe a bed or a seating area. You know, I think you saw a television get ripped out of there. But so often, you know, drivers will be able to stay in that kind of sleeper section, you know, when they're, you know, driving and transporting cargo across the country. And so that's why they really never knew how many people could be in there, who exactly they were dealing with. And so that's why it's been this, you know, one step after another process.
There's no way he was just sitting in there, bro.
The windows and the doors, as you're seeing that tactical equipment right now, to give them that gradual look, and at the same time not injure him. You know, we believe he was sitting in the driver's side throughout all of this, is what it appears. And so, and then there he is, as they were able to finally pull him out. And to our, you know, being absolutely stunned by this, in a moment you'll see that he's walking. I don't know how anyone could.
Bro, he walked,
you know,
out of
the
that situation.
Violence of
Ain't
everything
no way
that happened in that cab.
Yeah, very dramatic scenes taking place. Now, I do want to give you guys an update as well. In that top right-hand corner, so that small box, we now have word that the eastbound lanes on I-10 have been opened, or they're going to be opened.
Well, I know they glad.
You can see there is
look at all that
still
traffic.
a massive traffic backup here. This started at around 12:51, and here we are at 4:10. And that's what so many people, thousands of people have been sitting through, miles and miles of traffic on I-10 eastbound, as police were able to finally.
It would have been had to be 420
of the traffic standstill, but now we start to see movement as these cars are driving past the scene that was the site of this dramatic scene that unfolded here on I-10, and it was the reason why they were stuck in traffic for so long. But good news, I-10 eastbound back open at this side.
That's, I believe, the westbound
side. The westbound,
side.
Excuse me.
Yeah, but of course you're going to have people kind of craning their necks and slowing down, looking at this.
They gonna, you know people gonna be nosy. They gonna be trying to look
on the side of the road there. And so now it looks like they're doing something with that tire that's been spinning this entire time, probably because they need to, you know, secure the vehicle so that it can be safely towed off the road at this point.
And I mean, for those of you questioning too, I want to answer a question in regards to the cargo, what may have been in that container. We don't know. All we know is we were live here on the air when we saw the moment. 6 members of the SWAT team went to the back of the truck. They opened it very quickly, closed it, and left. So we don't have an understanding of what may have been in the back of that shipping container, but what we do know is that we will get some more information. Matter of fact, Sheriff Ed Gonzalez just released this.
He wasn't trying to let them find out, though.
The male remained resistant the entire time and ignored all commands. SWAT team members had to physically pull him out. No injuries to our members. The male is receiving medical attention. And if you were watching Fox 26 on any of our platforms, you witnessed that in real time.
Yeah.
Bro,
I can't imagine what it was like to be inside that cab with smoke bombs and then non-lethal shots being fired right through the windshield. But he stayed right there in the driver's seat the entire time. And then was actually able to walk once, you know, you saw him kind of get pulled out of the cab where he kind of, you know, landed
That's crazy,
on the
man.
ground.
Say, man, y'all be safe out here, man, for real.
They got him up, and he
watch out for these crazy drivers,
bit,
bro.
Until they got him onto the stretcher and into the ambulance. So this was someone who, you know, was either just very determined or, you know, I don't know, somehow able to just endure the situation.
Yeah, and again, we have some more questions. We have so many questions right now, but we're going to be waiting. We have some, I believe we're going to reach back out to the sheriff here, get some more details, because there's so much floating around in regards to the driver. Sheriff Gonzalez even saying that they weren't sure if he may have a criminal background, which that may have been the reason why he felt the need to try to evade police. Wasn't sure if he was impaired in some way, or maybe there's a mental health issue. They weren't sure, but what they were sure of was that this was a dangerous 18-wheeler driving erratically on I-10 eastbound, and that was just something they could not risk. And it was in the public safety for them to initiate contact with the driver of this 18-wheeler.
We're hearing that the sheriff is about to give us another update, so let's listen in and get the latest information from Sheriff Gonzalez.
Ed Gonzalez, Harris County Sheriff. Just a quick update. Just before 4 p.m., our SWAT team members had to physically go into the driver's compartment of the truck and physically pull him out. They tried numerous things, deploying gas, deploying less lethal, verbal commands, gave him every option to come. He remained resistant the entire time, did not answer any commands or anything like that. So at some point, they had to physically position themselves as safely as possible to extract him out. They've extracted him out. Still don't know why he was acting in the erratic manner that he was. It does appear to be some heavy impairment, but I'll let them kind of make those determinations there just from the naked eye. That's what it appears to me. The back of the container truck is empty. They're going to pull the truck off right now so they could inspect it a little bit further, but there's nothing inside the container itself, and that's the information that we have right now. Lo tuvimos que sacar físicamente porque el tipo no quiso obedecer ninguna orden. Todas las estrategias que intentamos no tuvieron efecto, entonces los tuvimos que sacar. Checamos la camioneta, la traila no había.
From Sheriff Gonzalez talking about that they don't know for sure, but he says that it appears that there is perhaps some impairment on the part of this driver. But again, they had all the concerns with there being erratic driving when the chase began, and with such a large and powerful vehicle, that is what sort of set off all of these events. That erratic driving, they weren't sure who they were dealing with or what the issue was. And again, as we've been showing you, they were able to pull him out, and he was actually able to walk. And is now, so let's listen in and get a little bit more. Okay, we'll continue
None
to
that we know of immediately.
monitor,
We're going to pull the trailer off to a more safe location so we could inspect it more fully and determine what we have or what we're dealing with.
It did kind of look like he had blood on his face and neck when he was arrested. Was he hit by those non-lethals or possibly the canine got him?
I'm not sure. We did have to move a canine in there. They did have to physically remove him out. He was holding on. It appeared that he was still in a driving motion, still revving up the engine, appearing like he was driving. So, but just had to get him out physically. And so I don't know what injuries he may have sustained, if those were self-inflicted or from the less lethal that may have struck him, or from some of the physical contact that they may have had with him, or from the dog itself.
Sheriff, we're live right now. One side of the highway is back open, the other side's still here.
Yeah, we're working right now as we speak. The team's trying to get the truck out, so I do hear traffic finally moving, so we're happy about that. So I'm not sure which side is moving, but hopefully we could get traffic moving here shortly. Sí, estamos intentando en este momento ya de abrir las carreteras para que pueda moverse el tráfico. Obviamente nuestras disculpas por el impacto en el tráfico, pero es parte de lo que tenemos que hacer en estas circunstancias para tratar de resolverlo de una manera segura para todos.
And you said there were no weapons found. Anything else suspicious or off-putting found?
No weapons found in our initial search. Doesn't mean that there's not something under the seat or anything like that. Our main thing was just to get them out safely, secure them, try to make sure that we could contain the scene better. The truck will be moved off the roadway so we could better inspect to see if weapons were in the mix in this, or what else was at play. So, but none that were visible at a cursory look from any of the observations made by SWAT deputies.
¿La identidad?
No sé todavía, no me han confirmado exactamente. No pude ver, tenía sangre, no sé si es parece ser o hispano o un anglosajón.
¿Y esas heridas eran de él o...?
No sabemos si tuvimos que poner un canine, un perro dentro de la troca. También físicamente lo tuvimos que sacar. No sé si las heridas fueron del mismo que se golpeó, se pegó, o de una de las balas que no son fatales, son más de plástico. No sabemos si lo haya herido a él.
At this point, do we know if he was driving that truck for the company or if it was stolen?
Not sure. We haven't confirmed that at this point. We wanted to obviously just resolve this as quickly as possible, and all those questions will be answered now, and who he is and what happened, what led to this. Pues depende, no sé de qué estaba huyendo, no sé si tenga antecedentes, no sé si era una persona que hemos estado buscándolo por alguna cosa o también solamente por huir de las autoridades puede cargar cargos de felonía también. Entonces eso lo vamos a tratar de resolver y depende también si estaba trasladando algo de narcóticos o algo que no hemos visto inmediatamente.
Sheriff, is there any chance this driver can face any kind of charges?
Oh, absolutely. I think that he'll be facing some type of charge. What it is, it just kind of depends. Anything from evading, obviously, to depending if he had anything in cargo that was invisible to the naked eye right now that we'll be able to check. So that'll be part of it. And we don't know if he's maybe possibly wanted for something or impaired as well.
How challenging was this entire incident to resolve?
It's very challenging. Our team, I was talking to them briefly because every scene is a different component. This one, it was like an 18-wheeler, but we've had things anywhere from bridges over the port of Houston to vehicles to residences. So they try to prepare as much as they can with all types of things. Y'all may have seen the Rook pass through here, or equipment that's been very valuable and successful many times. So it's a combination of a lot of things. And again, like I said earlier, I trust our team to make sound decisions as they did once again under difficult circumstances. And so it was a very challenging scene, especially because he continued to resist even with deployment of gas. Most times, most people with that, it's pretty toxic. They're going to come out pretty quickly. Didn't seem to faze them.
And this is an 18-wheeler.
Correct. Yes, absolutely. Yeah, it's a very powerful vehicle. If he was behind the wheel and revving that engine. So, however, it came to this. I'm glad we were able to intervene because if he would have remained on the roadway, other people could have been in serious risk had we not tried to contain it as best we could. Again, under challenging circumstances. So kudos to all first responders, our deputies, Lieutenant Calhoun and Sergeant Carrie Salas. That was the first one on the scene. Great job by them and our SWAT team as well. And we obviously thank the business as well. We know that they were impacted, especially those along the feeder. Sure. Any quick follow, just closing questions, so then I'll move to another.
Earlier I asked you, had this driver acknowledged anything as you guys use different tactics,
Yeah.
talking in English, talking in Spanish. When you finally got that driver outside, did they say anything, acknowledge?
He's remained unresponsive the whole time, didn't answer to commands. That's what I'm saying. Just at from the naked eye, it appears to be some level of impairment. We don't know what the issue is, but never really responded. We gave him multiple commands and spoke to him to no avail.
And real quick, if you could just speak to the manpower that's out here, what agencies assisted?
Yeah, no, we also are working closely with our Precinct 3 constables out here, assisting with traffic mobility. Obviously, the patrol deputies are out here. We have SWAT in place. We have K9. We had a wide array of personnel out here at the scene. So at approximately 1 p.m., one of our units spotted a vehicle that appeared to be parked in the middle of the main lanes outbound along Freeport at the East Freeway. At that time, didn't know quite what he had. It could have been just a medical emergency of some kind, or what we often refer to as a traffic hazard, just blocking the roadway, impacting traffic. When he turned on his overheads, the vehicle, the truck, the driver proceeded to drive forward, didn't go at a high rate of speed, continue forward, and then when he started doing some evasive action, changing multiple lanes, of swerving in and out of different lanes, the alert, just safety risk went up higher. They did try to deploy some spikes. They were successful, immobilizing at least two of the tires, but the driver continued moving forward. Eventually came to a rest here just east of Sheldon on the outbound main lanes. We attempted numerous things from less lethal weapon to eventually smoke, K9, verbal commands, negotiation, to no avail. He appeared to be behind the wheel, just appearing to be in a glaze, just revving the truck like if he was still driving. And we were concerned that he would perhaps eventually go forward and continue to wreak more havoc or put more people at risk. So we had a very challenging situation because we could potentially have a moving situation along the roadway. So eventually we're able to be successful in gaining entry into the cab and eventually physically pulling them out. So at about 4 o'clock it was finally resolved, and that's what we have right now. Now we'll kind of determine from the aftermath what led to all this.
Do you have an ID on this?
Not yet. It appears to be either a Hispanic male or white male. We don't know if he's the actual driver of the truck or the company and all that. All that will be worked out. And obviously he'll be ID'd. So as soon as we get that information, we'll share it in terms of his name and any charges that are applicable.
Any idea what? I mean, obviously there was a lot behind this. Any idea why he did this?
No idea. Don't know if he may have been wanted for something, if there was some kind of criminal nexus to this. The trailer appeared to be empty. We don't know if there's any compartments or anything. We have Kane and others here on scene, so we'll look a little bit closer. Just from his unresponsiveness, the zero effect from the deployed gas and other things could have been heavily impaired. Just from the naked eye, it appeared to have a high level of impairment, which again was scary that he was driving that and was on the roadways prior to us reaching him. But we'll kind of try to piece it together as best we can.
You said there was evasive maneuvers.
Yeah. Yeah, he was swerving in and out of the traffic once we were behind him. He wasn't going in a straight line at some point. And so eventually, thankfully, he didn't travel too far. It was never a high rate of speed. And he was a straight shot all the way down and eventually came to a stop here, I guess, after the spikes took effect on the tires, and he finally came to a stop.
Property or anything like that?
No property damage that we know of other than the vehicle, the truck itself. Okay. Thank you all. Thank you. Thank you.
You have been listening to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez with the Harris County Sheriff's Office give us the latest information on what we have been watching all afternoon, and we're going to go to Abigail Dye, who's been live there on the scene momentarily to kind of get a recap, but just really some stunning images all afternoon, a stunning situation where this driver who they tried to pull over in this 18-wheeler continued to drive erratically. Let's go to Abigail Dye now live on the scene for a look back at our events and what we're learning about the situation.
Well, Heather, we just got that update from Sheriff Gonzalez. We have some sirens behind us now. Looks like that is emergency medical. Probably, I mean, it could be possible that they're taking our suspect to go get checked out at this point. We did see some apparent blood on his head and neck area, so he's probably going to go get checked out. Gonzalez says that he doesn't have any life-threatening injuries at this point that they're aware of. But yeah, we just got that debrief that they do have the suspect in custody, like we brought to you live in real time. And at this point, we don't know who he is. We don't know who this guy is. We don't know why he ran from authorities. But Gonzalez does say that he seemed to be inebriated in some sort of way. He can't confirm that totally, but he says that this man didn't seem to be in a perfect state of mind when they took him into custody. I mean, this guy was sitting in the cab of that truck for hours, continuing to rev his engine, and they even said that he was in a driving position when they pulled him out of the truck. I'm not sure if that means he thought he was still driving or what kind of state of mind this person was in when he was apprehended. But Gonzalez says that no one other than our suspect sustained any injuries, and again, that suspect just very minor injuries. No authorities here on scene were hurt, and at this point they haven't found any weapons. They say there are no apparent weapons in the cab of that truck, which obviously that's really good news, because a scene like this, a situation like this, it could have ended very differently. So at this point, there's nothing nefarious that was apparent in the cab of that truck, but they did take that suspect into custody, luckily without any serious injuries. And again, this all started just about 5 miles away from here when the suspects, they say that the 18-wheeler was stalled out, and so authorities decided to try to make that traffic stop, and it ended up here and obviously escalating to a very, very big situation.
Abigail, and it really has been stunning that, you know, this is a man who endured, and you're watching them pull the truck away now, but so he endured, you know, the spike strips and being pulled over. There was, you know, a green gas, a green smoke bombs that went off in the cab. There were non-lethal shots fired into the windshield. They started ripping out the windows and the doors, and a canine officer went in and was on him for a time, and he still remained there in the driver's seat, as they were saying, with the possibility of some sort of impairment, but still in that driving position, you know, trying to move forward.
Yeah, Sheriff Gonzalez saying, quote, heavy impairment from his naked eye. So much more coming to you here on Fox 26. We have a link on our website with details on exactly how this unfolded. There is a lot to digest because we've been following this since around 1:30 or so. So we're going to re-rack here behind the scenes, bring you the very latest on Fox 26 News at 5. But in the meantime, please head to our website to get the details where you can see a timeline of what took place and give you guys an understanding of this situation that was just dramatic from start to finish. The good news in terms of traffic, we do know that the westbound lanes are free flowing yet again, and we just witnessed that trailer, that semi, be hauled off. So hopefully here in the next couple of minutes we can get a free flowing I-10 eastbound.
Yeah, we do know that traffic has been, they basically shut off traffic on I-10 both directions for a couple of hours. And so the eastbound traffic, when we showed you earlier, it's backed up for miles. And they're still waiting to kind of clear the scene, as you can see, hoping to be able to get through. But again, go to fox26houston.com. You can see all of the dramatic video, a timeline of events, the latest information, and of course, we'll have the very latest for you here on Fox 26 News at 5 o'clock.
All right, have a great evening.
I'm guessing, I don't know.